All right, welcome to the first section of artificial intelligence for everyone. And in this section, I'm going to talk about data. Wait, what? You said you will be talking about artificial intelligence and you're starting from data? Yes, we are starting from data because if you understand what kind of data you're dealing with, it helps you decide the whole strategy of artificial intelligence, data science, machine learning, and everything. So if you understand data, it would be easier for you to decide the complete strategy. So we'll be starting from the very scratch. We'll be talking about what is data and how this data is divided into multiple parts and what kind of data we have and how do we deal with that kind of data. Right? So let's understand the definition first. Now, if you just think about the definition of data, data is anything which is recorded. Right, anything which is recorded. So something is in record. It could be in your pen, like in your books or in your textbooks or anywhere. If you've written down something on the piece of paper or something, but you must be wondering like why I'm talking about the papers and everything. Now the original definition of data says that anything which is recorded is data. Now we are in the age wherein we are living in the digital the environment where anything which is digitally recorded is data. So if you just think that if you have recorded anything on your laptop or any machine, then it is being considered as data, or anything which can be recorded on the machine is data. Otherwise it is not data, right? So we are living in the digital world, so we call data, the basic definition of data, I should call it as anything which is digitally recorded is being considered as data. Now the next thing which we want to talk about, the official definition, and the official definition of data says data in context of computing refers to the distinct pieces of digital record. Data is usually formatted in a specific way and can exist in variety of forms such as numbers, text, images, etc. So anything which is recorded, it could be a movie, it could be a MP4 file, it could be a MKV file, it could be a CSV file, TSV file, JSON format, any kind of data, right? Any text data, any Excel file, any image, any URL, everything which is recorded on a machine is called data. No matter what. Even if you're downloading a wallpaper, that is also a data. Right? So you need to understand first thing first that what is the data definition. Now we've understood the definition of data. I want you to take a next step towards understanding of what kind of data is available. So data in broader terms has been divided into three parts. One is called structured data, the second one is called unstructured data, and the third one is called semi-structured data. And before I give you the definition of this structured, unstructured, and semi-structured data, I'm sure you might have heard about at least the names of structured data, right? So we'll talk about one by one the data types, and then we'll move on to the next step and understand what kind of data we are dealing with. So first thing first, it is often said like, what is structured data? Structured data is the data whose elements are addressable for effective analytics or analysis. It has been organized into formatted repository that is typically a database. It contains all data that can be stored in database SQL in table with rows and columns. Now this definition has got multiple aspects of it, but I just want to talk about structured data is something which can be stored in a very constrained environment. For example, if I define my data set that my first column in the data would be only the name, I would say this would be my first name, second column would be my last name, third column would be my mobile number, and I also define that first column has got some characters, second column has got some characters, third would be some integers, right? Even if somebody puts in mobile number by mistake in the first name column, it will be considered as a name. It will be picked up as a character, not a number. So which means that I am defining the schema first, and once my schema is defined, then I'm inserting the data into that storage according to that schema. So all the datas which can be aligned with that schema or this hard boundaries, which means that I can a lot. I can assign schemas to my data, and after assigning that schema, my data is hard bound to that schema, which means that even if I make mistakes, either my database will not let me enter that data, or it will just throw an error, right? Or it will be considered as the by default options whatever I have specified in rows and columns. And so my column has got, even if somebody put in mobile number, that will be considered as first mobile number. Either it will not let you enter the mobile number, or it will just throw an error, or it will just understand that this is the first name of that person, and that will be my structured bound data. That will be my schema bound data, and that's something which I called as structured data. Now typically, if you see the definition of it, the structured data is something which can be fed into the SQL database or relational database management system. And this is one of the oldest way of storing the data, wherein you wanted to store the data with the hard bound schema, right? So any data is structured which can be associated with SQL or tables or schema based system, which can be stored in a schema aligned system or schema hard coded system. What are the characteristics of structured data? Data conforms to a data model and has highly and easily identifiable structure, which means that I know that all the columns in my data will be of a certain characteristic. They will not have any other characteristic, right? The data is stored in the form of rows and columns, which makes it easy to extract and easy to search. Data is well organized in definition and in terms of format, in terms of meaning, and it's very easy for us to extract information from that. So all the databases like 25 years back, most of the data which has been stored in RDBMS was considered as structured data, and that was the only data which was stored in digitally, and that's where in earlier days, like 25 years back, that was the only data which was available. But nowadays we are no longer storing the data into the RDBMSs because data is being generated with such a rapid space. So we'll talk about that as well, but we want to understand like what are the characteristics of the structured data. So it's easy to access and query, and that's why it is being used in the places where you need to find out or search the data very rapidly. For example, banks, or for example any organization where you have small or like 100 GB or 50 GB or 1 terabyte of data, which is being like mostly these kind of organizations are using RDBMSs. Now, what are the sources of structured data? SQL database tables, spreadsheets, which are Excel. You can just directly fed that data into SQL things. Online transaction processing system, online forms, sensors, GPS or RFID tags, network or web server logs, or medical devices. These are generating like a very specific sequence of the data, and that's why, and they are not altered or they are not manipulated while you store them into RDBMS things. So they have been considered as structured data. Now, what are the advantages of structured data? Structured data have a well-defined structure that helps in easy storage and access of data. Data can be indexed based on text string as well as attributes. This makes search operation hassle-free, which means that it's easy for me to search even from the 1 terabyte for a particular record or for a particular car or for a particular patient. I can just like do that, and this kind of data is very easy for us to do like the analysis. For example, it's easy for us to apply business intelligence to it. Don't worry, we'll talk about what is business intelligence, but just understand that we can create multiple KPIs and reports, and I can just create multiple graphs, and for that purpose this data is like a bliss, right? I just want this kind of data, which is sorted data, which is every time it has been like segregated in rows and columns. It's a very easy data to deal with, and it's very easy to update and delete and create this kind of data, which is well structured in stored somewhere. And also this is scalable. In case the data increases, you are open for the scalable options, but often the scalability reduces the quick abilities of the RDBMS to respond. For example, if I have 1 terabyte of data, it would be easy for me to apply a query and get the results. However, if I have say 20 terabyte of data, then my query may come like, you know, come back with more time, or it will be a little slower. It will also ensure the security, right? And most of the RDBMSs are having a lot of heavy securities which is being deployed there. So next thing we want to talk about is unstructured data, and I want you to stay tuned with me so that we can understand what is unstructured data and how we are going to deal with it, and how to identify what is unstructured data. See you there.